Welcome to Keith Knight, Don't Tread on Anyone. This is a propaganda analysis of the national best-selling author John Green with regard to his thoughts on public education. And we already know that it's going to be brilliant because the meme maker at the bottom put boom. So you've been blown away. That represents a boom of what we just read. Public education does not exist for the benefit of students. Okay, so far so good. Or the benefit of their parents. Oh, excellent work so far. It exists for the benefit of the social order. Oh, and that's where you lose me. See the books, The Deliberate Dumbing Down of America by Charlotte Thompson Iserbyt, as well as The Underground History of American Education by John Taylor Gatto, basically two whistleblowers who were involved in state education, saying that the general purpose, in short, is to get people to be unthinking, obedient automatons ruled by the elites. Charlotte Thompson Iserbyt focuses more on citing primary sources that she found while working at the Department of Education, whereas John Taylor Gatto more goes through the history of the ideas, bringing about the state controlling education, making references to Johann Fichte, etc. So when saying it exists for the benefit of the social order, that's a nice, vague terminology that allows anything to exist for the social order. Walmart exists for the social order. Look at how many people are employed by it. Look at how many products and services it gives to people who otherwise would not be wealthy enough to get them. Look at how great Amazon is for the social order, giving people in low incomes access to things they never would have had access to because they were too far away and didn't exist in their small town or wherever. See, so social order is nice and vague, and it gets you away from actually focusing on individuals. Okay, so it doesn't benefit the students or the parents. So the primary people involved, it doesn't benefit. Really? So maybe this is just more of an abstract, nonsensical idea. See, when you're discussing anything in free market terms, yeah, people have the right to voluntarily trade because it benefits them, so they think, or else they wouldn't engage in it. They have a right not to. But saying that this idea exists for the abstract and no one involved benefits, that's not who it's meant for. Really? We have discovered, this is the belief that anything that currently exists is the result of correct, moral, thoughtful process and correct discovery. So see, we've discovered that we need a big military. We've discovered that the state needs to monopolize compulsory education. We've discovered that we need an FDA. We've also discovered that we need EPA and the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. How do you know we've discovered this? How do you know they weren't the result of lying bureaucrats funded by the Carnegies, Rockefeller, and Ford Foundation to implement a society where they can coercively dominate the public? How do you know that? But are you citing a source? Or are you just saying nonsense? Because that is the purpose of the education of the schooling system, to get people to spout nonsense unthinkingly, exactly what you're doing now. We have discovered and also the collective discovering, like the world is an a cappella group who researched and then communicated in sync harmony that they found their discovery that the state needs compulsory education. As a species, that it is useful to have an educated population. Oh yes, it is very useful to have an educated population. It does not therefore follow that the state should coercively fund and force you to attend, like Kamala Harris enforcing truancy laws on parents who don't take their kids to the indoctrination centers. It's no different than saying, we humans have discovered a useful education, that it's very useful to have people educated, both intellectually and morally. Therefore, everyone should have to fund the Catholic Church, and they should have to attend Sunday Mass. I mean, we as a society have discovered that education works. Therefore, you should be forced to fund the educational outreach of the Catholic Church. Well, no, it's a non sequitur. Same thing applies to the state. You do not need to be a student or have a child who is a student to benefit from public education. Yeah, a lot of people have benefited from the Mises Institute, the work of Tragedy and Hope, Richard Grove's site. A lot of people have benefited from Stefan Molyneux's work. A lot of people have benefited from malls being built in their area. That brings jobs. It makes the community look nicer, builds more houses, gives you more neighbors. Look, we all benefit. That does not give the owners of the mall or the church or the Mises Institute or Free Domain Radio the right to tax us and force us to fund their operations. Every second of your life, you benefit from public education. Yeah, and you benefit from people that develop the English language. Doesn't mean that the monks who preserved the written language have the right to force you to fund them. Hey, you benefit from Judeo-Christian values. Therefore, temples get to take 10% of your income and cage you if you don't chip in for them. The great non sequitur is where the propagandist lies. So let me explain why I like to pay taxes for school. See, just because you like something doesn't mean you get to force other people to coercively fund it. Ooh, let me tell you why I like sleeping with supermodels, and then you'll believe that supermodels should be forced by the state to sleep with me. No, you're a moron for believing that. Even though I don't personally have a kid in school, it's because I don't like living in a country with a bunch of stupid people. By every metric that I have looked at, the populace is ignorant with regards to economics, politics, history, sciences, literally anything. So, you do live in a stupid country, and what makes them, and I guess all countries would be stupid in the fact that they don't have the self-knowledge to realize they don't understand these things. So, it's not that they don't know. I don't blame people for not knowing. It's not worth getting educated about certain things. I don't know anything about, stoves or plumbing or lights or computers or TVs, but I don't vote to violently impose my will on those industries. Whereas with public education and taxation, you are coercively engaging in what would otherwise be a voluntary transaction. So what makes them stupid is that they believe they have a right to vote and they just automatically get to have an opinion on these things. Elizabeth Warren is popular. Bernie Sanders is popular. Bush Jr. was popular. Bush Sr. was popular. These are all evil, immoral psychopaths that get voted in and have the support of schools. So which idea matches up more with reality? My idea that schools are built to indoctrinate people and get them to be unthinking morons who worship the state regardless of state atrocities and the fact that the state is founded on violence. Or your idea that schools exist to make people smart. We'd see a bunch of brilliant people saying, hey, if I don't have the right to do this, how can I vote for a senator to do it on my behalf? This is not legitimate. Government monopolizing guns? Yeah, I don't think so. Federal Reserve getting a monopoly on the currency and setting interest rates, creating malinvestment, and the business cycle? Yeah, I don't think so. That's the kind of world that we would live in if your reality of schools exist to educate the public. 12 years, how long do you need to really teach people? Imagine, you should be forced to attend Mises University for 12 years. And after 12 years, everyone's still a moron. Would you say, yeah, that's why I support Mises Institute, because it makes everyone brilliant? No. The amount of stupidness that which exists is a causal result of the existence of schooling. People get educated in many more fields once they get out of schooling. A lot of it's on-the-job learning, a lot of it's books, a lot of it's seminars, a lot of it's videos, and people and associates, friends, and family members teaching each other. So no, it is the great non sequitur that I want X, an informed populace. Therefore, state violence is justified to achieve X. If you don't have the right to do it, you don't have the right to vote for someone to do it on your behalf. John Green, stick to writing fiction. Thank you for watching Keith Knight Don't Tread on Anyone.